The Senior Rehab Project is supported by the Game Changers, a group of motivated rehab clinicians that are crushing mediocrity and advancing care for older adults. You can join this group of people and get access to the private Facebook group, the monthly meetup with article discussions, and have a say in the direction of this movement. Get off the sidelines and get involved. Just go to seniorrehabproject.com/Game Changers. Hit me!
This is a Senior Rehab Podcast, the podcast for rehab clinicians that want to better serve older adults.
Hey there, Senior Rehab Podcast listeners. This is Erin Carey.
And I'm Tally Spaceman, and this is SRP Rex,
the evidence-based portion of the Senior Rehab Podcast.
All right, Erin, what do you teach me today?
Well, today we're going to be talking about an article that I saw in the September Academy of Geriatric Physical Therapy newsletter entitled Frequency of Malnutrition in Older Adults.
Yay!
A multinational perspective using the mini nutritional assessment. And it was published in the journal The American Geriatric Society in 2010. 8 years, but that's okay. We're okay with this.
No, I'm okay with it, especially that it's a subject that we haven't touched yet.
Right.
And for those subjects, you know that I like things that are a little older, just so we'll have the basics, because you cannot just start to talk about a subject and think that you're an expert.
Accurate.
No, like you first need to just study to the surface.
Like get the basics down.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't know how basic this article is. Regardless, we'll see. But anyway, these authors are a team of researchers, physicians, a biostatistician, and a dietitian from countries such as Germany, Switzerland, Sweden, Italy, the USA, Taiwan, and France. I started looking into who the authors were because, as you know, I'm trying to do more of that. And a lot of them work for Nestle. And this outcome measure.
Like the company that makes food?
Yeah. They're in Switzerland.
It makes sense.
It does, but I just think of like all my California friends who, if I said to them, yeah, this outcome measure is from Nestle, they'd be like,
your California friends are cats?
Yeah, didn't you know? Regardless, they also have people who are professors at geriatric medicine schools and all sorts of really important people all over the place. So that's all I'm going to say about that, because I honestly I was trying to figure out all this stuff about Nestle and this outcome measure and these people, and I got really tired. And I took a nap, and then I didn't look at this article for 3 weeks. So,
which is funny because you could have used coffee that Nestle makes.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I missed an opportunity. Oh no. Okay, so first we're going to start with the introduction. So they talk about the prevalence of malnutrition in older adults, and they state that it's highly variable depending on the population. So generally speaking, in healthy community-dwelling older adults, malnutrition is pretty much non-existent, whereas in long-term care institutions, it's been recorded as high as 57% before this article.
Which is crazy. It's like leaving people with supervision or without supervision, and figuring out that actually when they do have supervision, they are not as good.
Yeah.
But also maybe the reason they came into the institution is because of the malnutrition.
And that is a great point in looking in these populations. So I'm really glad you brought that up.
Thank you.
Yeah. So they use this outcome measure called the Mini Nutritional Assessment, or MNA. There is nothing about it in rehab measures. So there's that. Probably because it's a nutrition outcome measure and less rehab related. Although, to be fair, I know Dustin did an interview with Patrick Berner, who's also a dietitian, who would probably disagree with that statement of we don't do
Of what?
nutrition. Or it's not a PT related thing. Or like
I don't know what to think about it yet. I know that I don't feel comfortable doing nutrition.
Me neither.
Like even my own.
I'd be like, just eat a salad? I don't know.
I'll be like, I don't know, just eat balanced diet.
Varied, colorful foods, less meat. I'm so biased.
You are.
I'm so
you're
biased.
Like, you're...
Yeah, where are you
so
going
this
with
is
that?
why we do not give nutrition advices.
Because I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so this outcome measure was developed by the Nestle Nutrition Institute. It was validated in 1994, and it is specifically designed to use with the older adult. It has been translated into 20 languages. It has high sensitivity, specificity, and reliability. And the way the scores work is at a score of 24 or greater, they are considered to have good nutritional status. A score between 17 and 23.5 indicates a person is at risk for malnutrition. So a score less than 17, a person is considered to be malnourished and nutritional intervention is needed. It also has a short form which takes less than 4 minutes, and it is a very common nutritional screening for the older adult.
When they say intervention, they mean like PEG or just to bump them with Ensure?
I think that would be like, you should go see a dietitian.
Okay.
Not like Ensure bomb. Glug, 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 glug.
Chug, 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 chug.
Oh my gosh. Chugging Ensure sounds terrible.
Mr. Weiss is on the roof.
What?
No, just kidding.
Mr. Weiss? Who's that?
He's an old person that is chugging Ensure.
He's a party animal.
He's doing a keg stand.
Oh, an Ensure stand. Okay. All right, so the purpose of the study is to pool the existing data from high-quality trials into one large database to provide information on the prevalence of malnutrition in older adults in 4 different settings. First, in the community, second, in nursing homes, third, in acute care hospitals, and in geriatric-specific rehabilitation units.
So home, hospital, and kind of
nursing home.
More institutional.
Rehab. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, the study design was a retrospective pooled analysis. They looked at PubMed articles from 2000 or later, and they specifically stated that it's because of ongoing changes in population demographics, but they didn't say what those changes were. It was like all of a sudden in 2000, nutrition changed, I guess. Even though this screening tool has been around since 1994, I don't know. I would personally want to take it from 1994 on.
Okay, did they say, they said population changed, not nutrition changed, right?
Yeah, but I mean...
Population has, like, maybe there are a lot more older adults since the 2000s.
I guess, but still, I would find that data to still be helpful. Besides, this was in 2010, so it was only looking at the last 10 years, when really they could look at the last 16 and have a more robust data set.
Okay. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it, but I can see your point.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just me splitting hairs. So, articles were included if they use the MNA and they define the population, and then authors were contacted and asked to submit their original data sets, and each set was reviewed, and every participant was age 65 or older. And that's it for the methods. Pretty short and sweet. Honestly, a really elegantly crafted, simple study.
Yep. I like it when it happens.
Yeah, it makes my life easier. Okay, before we go into the results, anything you want to say?
So, what did they try to measure? How many people are malnourished?
How many people were malnourished or at risk of malnutrition in 4 different settings?
So, I would think that it's sad to say people in the hospital are in risk.
I agree.
Think.
Yeah.
And malnourished are in nursing homes, and the ones in the community are less in risk and has less malnutrition.
You pretty much got it.
Thanks.
So let's look at demographic information first. So the results came from 5 continents, 12 countries, which was 24 data sets and 4,507 subjects.
That's extensive.
I know. It's a lot. 80.6% of study data was from European populations.
How much?
80.6.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Of Europe.
Really a lot. Which, honestly, most of the researchers are like German and Swiss and Belgian and all that, so it kind of makes sense. And then it talks about where the different categories of patients came from. I think that's less important. 75.2% of the subjects were female, and the mean age was 82.3, and greater than 60% of the study population was older than 80, which I thought was real cool. It's a lot of older adults. Over 80. So the whole prevalence throughout the entire data set, 46.2% were at risk for malnutrition. 22.8% of the entire population were considered malnourished. Combined geriatric rehab and hospitalized populations, 90% were either malnourished or at risk. Yeah. Like that makes me think, so I work in an acute care setting. Like I'm going to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to address it. Probably going to talk to dietary people, but that's astonishing. 90%.
Wow.
Yeah. So then in a nursing home, 32.9% were malnourished, and the community dwelling adults had generally low malnutrition, but 31.9% of them were considered to be at risk. So this is a population that we would want to be doing these screenings for, which this specific tool can be used as a screening tool that you can take to like community centers, have people fill it out, and then be like, you should talk to a dietitian.
Yeah.
So...
Wow, that's a lot of malnourishment.
Yeah, definitely. It's
So did
appalling.
they say the reasons why?
So in the discussion, they talked about basically nutritional status deteriorates as dependency and care needs grow. And what they did mention was that one limitation of the study was that most of the pooled population were in the acute care and nursing home settings, and they were mostly European populations. So it really greatly overestimates how those specific populations are compared to the greater whole.
Also, did they state in the research how many people of the cohort had failure to thrive? Or
They did not, no. Or at least there was nothing in any of the data or in the article that mentioned that. But I feel like if someone had a failure to thrive diagnosis, then you'd be like, yeah, your nutrition sucks.
You're malnourished.
Yeah.
It's
Seriously.
part of the thing.
Yeah, and they have a really nice bar chart.
Yeah, it is nice.
So we're looking at it here, and like community dwelling, 62.4% of them are considered to be well nourished.
Yeah.
The population percentage of malnourished was like 5.8, compared to rehab settings where 50.5% of them are considered to be malnourished and 41.2 are at risk. That's horrifying.
It's a lot of people that don't eat well.
Right, and they're in intense rehab, you know? They're working hard. They're the ones who need these nutritional interventions, I would feel.
Okay.
Terrifying. Anyway, so that is pretty much what I have. Oh, they did make the point that the other tools that are often used for nutrition aren't as good, but I mean, this was done by a bunch of scientists who work for Nestle using Nestle's tool. So, grain of salt, you know the drill.
Grain of salt food.
All right, Tali, any questions, thoughts, feelings?
No, I think that I said them. Great job. Let us know as listeners if you do want us to go a little bit into nutrition.
Sure.
In older adults. I found it really interesting because we haven't talked about this before.
Very true. I have no idea about many things.
And yeah, it's so perplexing that the people that we do have under our care are the ones that are malnourished.
Yeah, and I think that using a simple screening tool and referring them to the appropriate sources takes very little time. Like the short form of that test takes under 4 minutes, and it could really, honestly, it could help your outcomes.
Yeah.
Like they need fuel in order to do things.
Mm-hmm.
People need fuel.
And a lot of times food is, at least in older people, sometimes indicates about their will to live.
Yeah.
Or their will to get better and get back to their lives. So it might be a good thing to screen.
I agree fully.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening. We want to especially thank the Game Changers for their continued support. We want to thank our lovely team.
I would like to thank Aaron Carey for teaching me something.
Aww. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm Tali Spaceman.
I'm Aaron Carey.
And this was SR Prereqs. As always,
stay funky.
Hit me! Thank you for listening to the Senior Rehab Podcast. If you only listen to these podcast episodes, you are missing out on 90% of the Senior Rehab Project. Hop on over to seniorrehabproject.com where you can join the movement that's advancing care for older adults. You can join for free or become a part of the Game Changers where you can get some free gear and access to our monthly meetup. Just go to seniorrehabproject.com. I appreciate y'all, and I'll talk with you soon. But in the meantime, do not forget to stay funky.